Hey, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is January 20th, and I'm Chris Allen, and this is 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. We're right here, 1 minute before 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and I'm going to, of course, wait. We're going to start getting people trickling in. But I don't want to give too much away on this winter storm before everybody gets here. But I know there's going to be people joining as we get going. By the way, thanks to everybody last night who gave me really my first big, probably record. I would say for me, record podcast viewership last night. I had over 100,000 views just with this podcast last night. Thank you. That's to you. That's not to me. That's to you. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Because of so many people that were on here last night, I, of course, when it's that many people and it's coming fast and furious, I can't get to everybody's comment or question. I got to a few of them. So just bear with me tonight because we've got a lot, as like we did last night, we've got a lot to talk about. Be sure that when you comment, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or any other platform, make sure that you put where you're commenting from. And if you have a question, I can't guarantee that I'll get to them, but I'll do the best I can. Okay? Obviously, today, a lot of new information came out, and we're getting into that window, closer into that window, short term modeling. The more detailed modeling is going to start to take hold, but I can tell you that the overall signal today shows that number one, this winter storm is coming. I can say with very high confidence that this winter storm is coming. And not only that, I can say with confidence, number two, this is going to be a high impact storm. And by that, I mean that all of us, it doesn't matter where you're watching or listening from, if you're anywhere along and east of the Mississippi River, you're likely to be impacted by this storm significantly. We're talking about over, I think the last count I saw was like 150 million of us are going to be impacted by this storm this weekend. That's a lot. 150 million plus. So please, if you don't mind, do not in the comments ask for your town and how much you're going to get, because what I'm about to tell you is probably going to blow your mind, and it's going to be something that all of us can relate to as far as how much snow we're likely to get. Those of us that are going to get snow, and I'm going to show you who's going to get snow and who's going to get ice. Okay? I'm about to show you that, but first, now that we're just after 7 p.m. and you're watching live, let me show you this. And I know it's clear. I wish I had one that was not clear. Wait a minute. I thought I had one that was not clear. But anyway, so let me show you this. Let me just back up here before I show you the maps. I'll show you this. Okay, I'm going to take this out, take the banner out for just a moment. You see what this is? What is that's a ruler, okay? How long are rulers? I'm going to put it right here. How long are usually rulers? 12 inches? A foot. Um, this is going to become very evident. It's going to become very evident to all of you watching that we could be looking at, or wait a minute, I've got something else to show you. Let's see if I can get it. What is that? What is that called? Yes, I know it smells, but what is it called? It's a foot. What are you saying, Chris Allen, by using the visuals? Yes, I am saying that it's very, very likely that we are going to get a foot of snow. There, I put it out there. I've said it. Now you know. Yes, I know my feet smell. Be glad that the smells don't come through your computer. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood just just the kind of incredible storm that this is going to be. It has such magnitude, it has such depth and breadth and length and width that it's covering thousands, or it will cover thousands of miles, and at least for the 270 and pretty much this entire area, we have the capability of producing, or it has the capability of producing around a foot of snow. In some cases, it could be more, and in other cases, it will be less. And I'm going to go through the process here, as I always do, to explain why that's possible. And we're going to just jump right in, okay? Y'all keep your comments coming. I know. Somebody said, you need a yardstick. Oh, Janine. Janine is so smart. Janine's a friend of mine. Thank you, Janine. Need a yardstick? Yeah, but I didn't want to give the impression that it was going to be more than a foot, because yardsticks usually, what, 3 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet. Anyway, but yes, Janine, you're kind of on it here as to what we're going to need. Actually, we're going to need shovels, and we're going to need scoops and wheelbarrows, and are we going to need snow plows? Well, all right, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But the data that's coming in is mind-boggling. I've been over the models today, up and down and left and right. I've even held back and I'd look at a model and I'm going, oh gosh, I don't want to, if I say this, then it's just going to open the barn doors and everything is just going to, go off the rails. So I've really tried to hold restraint here on what I'm seeing. But now that it's Tuesday night and we're getting closer to this happening, we're almost in that window now to where tomorrow, I think tomorrow is when the National Weather Service will most likely issue a winter storm warning, or a watch, and then a warning, and then we're just into this thing, and it's going to be something. All right, I've said enough there. I think I've teed it up enough. Let's go to this. This is what I showed you last night, is the Weather Prediction Center outlook areas for, this is for, as it says, heavy snow. All right? Now, we'll read the discussion together, okay? Because it's important that we know this. Significant winter storm expected from the southern plains to the mid-Atlantic, bringing widespread heavy snow and ice impacts. Then, on top of that, dangerous cold expected for the north central U.S., while much below average temperatures spread to the south and east. If it were not, let me just say this, having moisture is one thing, but having the kind of very deep and widespread cold air layer that's going to be in place when the moisture arrives from the Gulf. If we didn't have that deep cold air, we wouldn't be talking about this. We would be talking about heavy rain. Remember back in February and April last year, floods? We might be talking about that because the water equivalent of the moisture coming in is, while it's only going to be in some cases a quarter inch to a half inch, that is going to make our, because of the cold air, that's going to make our snowfall ratios off the charts. Usually, when we talk about snowfall, we talk about snowfall ratios of being 10 to 1. In other words, 10 of, if we melted down an inch of snow, it would produce a tenth of an inch of water. But in this case, we're talking about quarter inch, in some cases, half inch of rain or water. The frozen equivalent, that's where it goes like we could have snowfall ratios of 15 to 1, 18 to 1. Who knows? I mean, it's really just incredible. That is going to make for a incredible enhanced, very enhanced snowfall breeding, if you will, of snowflakes. I mean, it's just going to be one of these things that is just, this thing is going to be a machine that is just going to crank out incredible amounts of snow. Something we have not seen here in a very, very long time. And that's what this overview, what it's saying here. We're going to have some pretty decent wind chills. The winds are going to be blowing. And once the snow hits and sticks, it's going to get cold enough to where everything just stays cold and everything stays on the ground, even as we get into the start of next week. All right. So all of this, and it's a lot here, but basically what it breaks down, and I've read all this, what it's saying is where the best axis is going to set up for the best snowfall, where the temperatures are going to be, and where the cutoff is going to be. There is going to be a cutoff just to the north of us, which is important to note because when you look at this map, you're seeing that the cutoff right now is just north of Bowling Green. So this, where you see this blue colored area, that is where the best axis or the best cutoff north of that area of the heaviest of snow. There's going to be snow north of Bowling Green, Owensboro, Bardstown, Lexington, up to Louisville, E-Town, all those places. Yeah, you're going to get snow. Just because you're not colored in here doesn't mean you're not going to get snow. You're going to get snow, but it's not going to be as much as these areas, southern Kentucky, all of Middle Tennessee. But then as you get further south, this is a critical area south of Nashville. And we're talking about places like maybe Memphis, but more specifically, Tupelo, Mississippi, Florence, Alabama, the Shoals, Huntsville, Chattanooga, then over to Gainesville, Georgia, and so forth and so on. This is going to be not only heavy snow, but you're also going to be in a freezing rain shield where there's going to be prolonged periods of rain coming down where it's enough of a warm air layer before you hit ground, enough warm air to keep it rain, but then the surface, your cars, the trees, the power lines, the roads, they're going to be at freezing or below. So when the rain hits, it's going to freeze on contact. That's freezing rain, and that is going to cause some major ice accumulation. And look how big that area is. Now that's crazy. That goes from Midland, Texas through Fort Worth, Dallas, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. All of that pink area is going to be the best area for ice. And there are some areas within that pink shaded area that the best word to use is crippling ice. And by that, I mean there are going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of people that's going to be without power this weekend with this storm from freezing rain. It is going to be that dangerous. It's going to be hard to get around. There's going to be trees down. There's going to be power lines down. There's going to be roads closed. There's going to be all kinds of issues with that ice. But even for us here in southern Kentucky, middle Tennessee, I mean, for us to get around a foot of snow, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on where we are, we're going to use that as kind of a benchmark. But we have the potential to get a foot of snow this weekend, and that's going to be crippling for us because we're not used to that. We're just not used to that kind of a snow, and it's coming. It is coming. So, again, this is for everybody that you see painted in the blue. It's headed our way. All right? So more on that in just a moment. Let me clear this off because I want to go to radar for just a second. Now, there's nothing going on yet, nothing that's going to be incoming for that big storm yet. But we do have the possibility tomorrow morning, for those of you that live just north of the Bowling Green area, we're going to have a little cold front. Let me see if I can get it to pop up here because, yeah, there we go. So this is going to be a front that once it comes in, and there you're seeing the very beginning of the moisture that's off to our north and west. This moisture is going to come in tomorrow morning and could affect some of our northern counties with what could be maybe a little bit of precipitation that as it starts, it could end up being maybe a little mix of precipitation, and maybe it could even start as a little bit of freezing rain or sleet or even a snowflake. But this that's going to happen tomorrow morning has nothing to do with this weekend system. But as it comes in, and let's choose, let's see, Grayson County, you are now under a winter weather advisory. All right. Now that is for tomorrow morning starting at 3 a.m. and it's going to go for 7 hours until 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Now the precipitation will start early tomorrow morning and likely be in the form of freezing drizzle and freezing rain. There could also be some snow that may mix in after sunrise. And additionally, road temperatures are expected to be well below freezing overnight, so what precipitation falls will likely freeze on contact, resulting in slick roads. But by mid-morning, I think we'll be warm enough to where you shouldn't have to worry about it. This is more of a precautionary thing because there could be some slippery spots, icy spots, but it's not like it's a huge deal. And here's the thing that I'm having trouble with. There is a lot of dry air that's here now. Okay, so when we get to in the morning, it's still going to be really dry. But here's the concern, and I think it's valid that the Weather Service has with this particular situation, is with the incoming moisture, which you can see up here, that's right now about Kirksville, Missouri, and this system's going to kind of come down like this. And as it comes in, and we start to get precipitation falling at several hundred feet above us, as it falls, it will cool the layer of air above us and go through that dry air. And if it's able to penetrate that dry air down to the ground, then you could have something where you would have something like freezing drizzle or freezing light rain. It's not going to be enough to really cause a big issue, but in this particular area, and that includes Lexington and Louisville, Bardstown, Danville, places like that, E-Town, it could cause some icy places tomorrow morning as you get up and get ready to go to school or go to work. So that's a little fly in the ointment there that we did not see earlier, but there you see the towns that are included in that winter weather advisory for tomorrow morning. But now, as the morning continues, there's going to be enough warm air coming in from the south and warming the temperatures up into the 40s, okay? So as that happens, then, of course, we'd be above freezing, and whatever falls would then just turn to rain or melt, and then we should be good to go. But for those critical hours, very early tomorrow morning, we just need to pay attention to that. Okay, now we move on to the big kahuna, the elephant in the room, and I'm going to show you a few things here, and I'm going to try to get some of my banners and stuff out of the way so we can see what's going on, because I want you to see some of this, some of these maps, okay, because they're important that we help you understand what's going on with these systems, okay? So let me see if I can get that to come on over. Yeah, there we go. All right. So this is from the Weather Prediction Center. This is the day 4 through 7 winter weather outlook. Probability, this is the probability of exceeding a 1/4 inch liquid equivalent of snow and sleet. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's what I said at the very beginning when we're talking about snow ratios. If you have so much snow, if it was melted down, how much would the water equivalent be? In this case, they're using a 1/4 inch of water to see what the snow equivalent would be with this particular storm. So here it is, and here it comes, the big system, and how this is all going to play out starting Friday night. There will be some places. There will be some places to our west, as you can see. That includes a lot of, say, southern Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. This is when the storm gets its start, and that's where it gets its start. So if we follow along with this particular map, we can see, whoops, let me go back there. Okay, there we are. So as you can see here, when we look at the probabilities, let me scoot this down just a little bit more. So you can see, here's the scale on the left. So the light green is 10, 20 to 30% in that range. The dark green is 30, 40, 50%. In other words, what is the percentage that we would have, say a higher percentage of snow or sleet with this system? So as you're looking at this, this is the beginning, the genesis of the big winter storm. So as we head into Saturday and into Sunday, look what happens there. I mean, we're in then the 50 to 70% chance, and in some cases, 70 to 80% chance of this being a significant snowfall in these areas. But it also, you've got to remember, even if you get sleet or freezing rain, it's water. So what this is showing is there is a very high percentage of water. This is why I was saying at the very beginning, if we did not have the cold air that's here, this would be a big rainfall, probably a flooding rainfall. But in this case, we've got a very high percentage of water that's there with the very cold Arctic air that's going to be sitting here and the moisture coming up out of the Gulf and running over the top of it. Basically, this is what this is showing, okay? And it's a very high percentage. Let me also show you this. This is the probability of at least a minor winter weather impact, all right? So now you see the map. There's not much going on here. And let me reduce this just a little because this is almost too big. Yeah, all right. That looks better. Let me make sure you see it that way. Yep, there we go. Okay, so some snow up here in the Great Lakes, yada, yada, yada. That's been going on. Okay, now here we go into tomorrow. Here is that little bit of maybe light precipitation that gets started tomorrow morning, 5 to 10% chance of that, minor impact. But look what happens on day 3. This would be Thursday. So on Thursday, this is when the storm gets going. Look at the percentages. Most of them are down 5 to 20, maybe 30% of just a minor winter weather impact. In other words, slick roads, surfaces coated by some type of winter weather precipitation. It could be snow, it could be ice, it could be freezing rain. Okay, now we get that. Let's go to Friday. OMG. Oops, I did it again. This is what I mean. Now, when the National Weather Service, and you know how kind of kicked back they are, they're a little bit laid back until things really start looking like, whoo, these are all of our meteorologists looking at this and going, this is Friday. Now we are here in Southern Kentucky, we are in the 60% percentile, if you will, 60 to close to 70% or even higher once you get down into Tennessee and back to the west especially. I mean, that's getting into the 90% chance of a minor winter weather impact. Then we get into Saturday, still running very high, then into Sunday, and you can see the system moves away. What does that tell us? Well, this is saying there is definite agreement that we're going to have at least a minor winter weather impact from snow, ice, freezing rain. Now, we've been toying with where the setups are going to be. How far north does the snow go? How far north does the ice go? Well, let's take a look at the maps and let's see where those dividing lines are. First of all, we're going to deal with our system coming in tomorrow. Here's right now, by the way, with high pressure in control. Here is the little system back in the plains that is going to make a run at us tomorrow morning. And again, this is not the big system coming in for the weekend. But here it comes. And you can see it's another one of those little clipper systems, but the low pressure system this time is further south. And yes, there's enough cold air that it's going to produce some snow at first off to our north. there's a little warm front here, and that's what we're counting on. And that was really what I was counting on in the forecast when I did the forecast earlier today, that the temperatures would be warm enough to keep us from seeing any kind of mixed precipitation or light snow. All of it looked to be rain to me. So let's go to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and this would be the critical time that we might see something here as far as light precipitation. As you can see from about E-Town, and we would be looking at probably Radcliffe, E-Town, Fort Knox area, up to Frankfort, back to Louisville, up to Lexington. This would all be a little bit of maybe freezing drizzle or freezing rain, and that's what some of the purples and the pinks are. And then mostly rain, here's Bowling Green, mostly rain in the southern half of Kentucky, because at that point, the temperatures overnight, actually the winds are going to be coming from the south, and they have started to come from the south this afternoon, and it's going to be breezy as we go on into the overnight hours and early tomorrow morning. And I'm thinking that's going to keep our temperatures up enough here in southern Kentucky to keep it all rain. But as I mentioned earlier, as the precipitation falls through a little bit of a cold layer and then a dry layer near the ground before the precipitation starts, that could cause this moisture to overcome that little bit of dry air and maybe cause something a little frozen. So that's why the winter weather advisory is out for those counties right there along the Ohio River tomorrow morning. But everything should turn to rain. This is noon, and as you can see, except for a couple of little spots, everything goes to rain. So just in the morning, if you live up, say, north of the parkways, Western Kentucky Parkway, maybe even the Bluegrass Parkway north, you're more likely to get just a little slick spot or two in the morning, and then it should all go to rain. This is noon tomorrow. Here's 6 p.m. tomorrow, and the rain showers will move out pretty quickly. We're not going to pick up all that much in the way of rain or moisture, but this then is how we begin the setup for the big storm coming this weekend. Now notice, I want you to notice, and I'm going to show you this on the next map, but look, you can look at that and you can see just how big and expansive this high pressure is. And look at that, 1,025 millibars, and it's huge. And behind it is an even stronger, deeper ridge of high pressure moving out of Canada, 1,044 millibar. I mean, it's honking. It is a big dude high pressure. I mean, cold, deep cold air. Some of the deepest we've had all winter long. So this is 6 a.m. Thursday. We go 6 p.m. Thursday night. Look at the winds picking up, the pressure difference between what's out in front and what's coming behind. Look at this. 1,050 millibar high pressure. Even stronger. And it's not even in the States yet. This is Thursday morning. This is the day before all the fun begins. I would say you're either going to need to use tomorrow or Thursday to get ready for what's coming this weekend. Some of you may be able to squeeze out part of Friday and get done what you've got to get done, like going to the store or whatever, to get ready for, well, this. All right. So now it just reset on me. Here we go. 6 a.m. Thursday, 6 p.m. Thursday. Here comes the deep cold air. And look what's happening here south of us. This is the Gulf moisture transference that's happening back to the west of us, low pressure system coming off the Baja of California, and a low pressure system that's over Texas. The lows are going to move east. One will become the dominant low pressure system that's actually going to act as the siphon of the moisture coming in at first, rain, that's going to come in as we get into Thursday and Friday. Then, as that moisture runs into that cold, deep, deep, deep cold air. Well, this is how it's going to transition. So yes, there will be a lot of rain to the south, but there will be a lot of snow that develops. Look how huge this area is. East of the Rockies, into the plains, down into Texas, Oklahoma, and spreading east. And once this starts to spread east on Friday, there's not going to be any stopping this thing. It's going to be like a fast-moving train, and it's just going to pick up energy. It's going to pick up steam. It's going to pick up moisture. And with the deep, deep, deep cold air in place, there is no question that we're going to get snow here. But there will be that transition period and that line of where we're going to see a big, unfortunately, hundreds of miles long stretch of ice. This is Friday morning, 6 a.m. Whew. I don't even, this, I mean, this is, um, I'm at a loss for words because this is in my 4 decades of following weather, I don't think I've ever seen quite this kind of a incredible setup for a winter storm that takes in so much real estate. Look at that. It goes from the desert Southwest into the plains and all the way across to the East Coast. I mean, it's mind blowing. I mean, I know that's been used over and over, but that is just, I don't know. I mean, I almost want to just kind of take a picture of this, put it in reference for history. I mean, this could be a historic storm because of its breadth and width and depth. I mean, it's going to be one of those situations where there's going to be so many millions of people affected by this storm in a big, big way, to where I don't think we've even really right now can and just kind of imagine what it's going to be like. But that stretch of ice right there, wow. Dallas, Fort Worth, Shreveport, Little Rock, Tupelo, Mississippi, Jackson, Huntsville, Alabama, and then into parts of the southern tip of the Smokies. That's a lot of ice, and it's going to be crippling ice, crippling. Power outages, you name it. It's going to be thousands and thousands of people. But this whole storm, at least 150 million plus affected. The dark blue is the heavy snow, and the heavy snow for a time comes into southern Kentucky, takes in much of middle Tennessee, and when you get into southern middle Tennessee, that's where you get into some of the ice, almost right across the Alabama border. Let's move ahead. This is 6 a.m. Saturday. Here is 6 a.m. Sunday. Now, what you don't see is the in-between 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. Saturday into 6 a.m. Sunday. That's a 24-hour period. But look at this. I mean, it's still snowing in Kentucky even as the heaviest of the snow moves east. Then with the really cold air in place from those big monster high pressure centers. Whatever falls, it's going to stay here for days. Here's Monday, there's Tuesday. Not much going on after that. I mean, it's like the atmosphere just cleans itself out, purges after that. Big time. Okay, let's go on to, this is the European model, which is excellent and all winter long. Okay, so here's the little system that's coming in tomorrow with the temporary little hit of light rain, but also there could be this little piece, you see it right there, little bit of light snow, or a mix that maybe happens for a little short time tomorrow morning. There should not be much of an accumulation, and the temperatures should go up enough to where whatever falls in the morning would then melt and turn back to rain. So therefore, that little winter weather advisory in the morning, see it right there, as that just moves out pretty quickly. But let's show you the cold air being established here. Here we go into Thursday, and here it comes. Here comes, on one hand, that very deep high pressure. Look at that, 1,052 millibars. Then we've got low pressure system. Here's one offshore that's coming in, and that's going to eject energy out to the east, tapping into available moisture out of the Gulf, which is then going to meet up with all this Arctic air. Look where the target zone is. I mentioned this last night. Look who's right there in the thick of it all. The 270, when you know it. All these times we've been here on the fence. This time, whoo, we're the bullseye. And here we go. Look at the moisture. Start overrunning into the colder air. Let me get an updated model or run. And there it comes. It all starts to come together. This is Friday night. Friday night, we will start to see, according to this model, we're going to start to see all of this coming together. Snow, ice, rain. All of it will start to ride along the rain-snow line, which will be south of Kentucky, by the way. That's key. If it were further north, then we would be in the thick of the ice. But here we go into early Saturday morning. And I think this is probably, I was saying maybe Friday, midday or afternoon, but this is showing it delayed. And the Euro's been showing it delayed start for us over the last several runs. So if we go by this, it would be late morning to midday Saturday, we would begin to see the snow in southern Kentucky. South of us, lots of ice. And I mean freezing rain galore. You can see the deep pinks and purples there. I mean, it's, man, if you've got anybody down south of us that you know that's a relative or a friend, I mean, I'm hoping you tell them what's coming. Look at the, and now we get the enhanced snow, and right in here, right above that area where it is the ice into the snow, this is going to be an active, what we call jet energy, that's going to force enhancement of the snow right as it comes by. So I'm looking at Saturday night into early Sunday morning. That is when some of the heaviest of the snow is going to fall here in southern Kentucky in the 270. According, if we believe what the Euro is showing us, there is going to be this zone where we get the deep high pressure meeting up with the deep low pressure in this zone right here is where it's going to be. That's the perfect place for enhancement in these kind of situations. So heavy snow, the rates are going to be off the charts. This is Sunday morning now. Saturday night into Sunday morning. There's just this little bit of lift of warm air right there as this thing takes a tilt. That's because high pressure is building deep out west and forcing this trough to really dip down into Texas. And this is where we get the jet streak coming through. That's the best flow of energy with the best available moisture. And this thing is really just going to start cranking out a lot of snow where it's cold enough, but where it's just warm enough. Then it's going to be freezing rain, sleet, and an ice storm. Here we go now into Sunday morning, Sunday midday, and afternoon. Boy, it's still snowing. This is still heavy snow over Kentucky. Yep. Now here we go into Sunday afternoon and evening, and finally, Sunday evening late. The snow is over, the system is gone, but look at all the cold air. So whatever falls is going to stay. We're not going to make it past freezing until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Let's take a look. And I'm going to get to your questions and comments. I know this is running, 45 minutes so far. You got a lot of questions. I get it. And we've got 1,500 people here watching tonight. This is going to be another record-breaking show tonight. Thank you. But this is serious. This is as serious as, to me, it's as serious as when we talk about severe weather in the spring and summer or the fall with, it's not tornadoes and it's not damaging wind, but there's going to be damage. Somebody's going to get a lot of damage from the ice by itself. This is serious. It's going to threaten a lot of people. So here's a look at the temperatures. So we go from 44 tomorrow, 45 on Thursday. Then here comes the first shot of colder air. As we get into Friday, we're going to get up to maybe 30. But look at these numbers. Look at this. We only get into the low to mid 20s Saturday with the snow coming down, Saturday into Sunday and into Monday. I don't see us getting above freezing until Wednesday of next week. That's like a week from today, tomorrow. Yeah, and look at the lows, 11, 16, 7, 3. The reason why those numbers are so low, snowpack. With a cold high pressure sitting over us, it's going to get breezy too. I'm not saying it's going to be a blizzard, but there will be times you will look outside and think, oh my goodness, I can't even see. It's snowing so hard and the wind is blowing so hard, I can't see. You're going to have to stay indoors. I'm telling you, it's going to be that bad. And because of the snowpack on the ground, it's going to bring the temperatures down even more than what they would normally be in just an ordinary inch or two of snow. But even that snowpack causes it to be colder than what the air temperature usually is. But I think like on Monday night into Tuesday morning, we're going to be near zero for a low temperature here in Bowling Green, and definitely wind chill temperatures are going to be below zero. And then after that, look at those lows staying in the teens even through the rest of next week, even as during the day, we may get close to or get above freezing for maybe a day or so. But that is, wow. I mean, what we're witnessing here, everybody, is going to be a historic storm. I don't know what records it's going to break, but it's going to break some records. And in a huge area, it is going to break lots of records for snowfall, for ice accretion, and that means ice that accumulates on trees and power lines and roads. And down south of us, there's probably going to be a record number of people without power because of that. It's going to rival some of the big winter storms that we've ever had around here in decades. It's going to be that. And I cannot remember a time. Chris Wagner brought this up. When is the last time you saw an event like this happen in the 270? For some reason, 94 comes to mind, but that was a big snow, several big snows, and an ice storm. 1994 comes to mind, first of all. 97, I think, was another one. But this could rival those, very much so. Now, I'm going to get to your comments. I know we're running 50 minutes here. So let me get this in, a word from our sponsor before we get to that, because, wow, the sponsor, R&R Controls, more important than ever when we're talking about power outages and just thinking about how many thousands of people, or maybe even more than that, are going to be without power from this storm. Generators are going to be, I would say that a lot of stores in the next couple of days are going to sell out of your conventional generator. But wouldn't it be great if you could have something like this that's attached to your house, wired in, not something that's just you carry around and then, like a chainsaw, you have to pull it to start it and fill it up with gas. That's your conventional generator. I'm talking about one of these that R&R Controls can wire into your house. And then that way, when you do lose power from a big storm like this, hey, you've got something that's going to click on within seconds. Generac generators, number one name in generators. And I know there's not time to, before the storm, get one of these installed by R&R before the storm gets here. But there's going to be more of these, maybe not in this kind of magnitude, but there's going to be spring storms, severe storms that are going to happen, because here it is, a brand new year. You know how it goes around here. And let me just say, even though R&R Controls is located in Brownsville, Kentucky, some of you watching tonight have never heard of Brownsville, Kentucky. It's a little town just about 20 minutes north of Bowling Green. But that's where R&R has been for 40 years. They're experts at installing these Generac generators. They can come to any state, any city, and they've been doing it. Not only doing HVAC services, but also installing these generators. So why not take down this phone number? Because some of you are going to, I know, after you experience what we're going to experience this weekend, you're going to be calling R&R Controls to see about getting a generator. 270-777-2024. That's the number. There's their website, rnrhvac.com, because they also do HVAC services, heating, cooling, ventilation. 270-777-2024. because you need a Generac generator. And now this is proof. This weekend is going to be proof that you need to get this done. I know you've put it off thinking, man, we'll get by. We'll get by. Ooh. Give them a call, because with R&R, you'll never be without. Okay. Let's get to your comments. This is Christopher. Is there going to be banding? And I know some of you are like, banding? Like, banding like a band? No. What he means is, will there be these little stripes of where there's enhanced snowfall that could elevate not only the snow ratios, but therefore raise the possibility of how much snow we could get? Yes, there will be. And some of the best banding, I think, could be right here in southern Kentucky, because we'll be right there where the jet streak is more enhanced because of the suppression and the deepness of the high pressure and the overrunning moisture. We're going to be right there. That's why I say we're at the target. We are the target. In the 270, we are the target for some of the heaviest snowfall, I think. Okay. Mike, break out the hot chocolate and DVD of Jack Frost. Yeah. I'm telling you, plan on staying in for several days. I am not kidding. Mike, glad I have 2 Jeeps. It's going to be a challenge even for Jeeps. I've had a Jeep before, so I know. But, yes. Let's see here. Oh, here's Bonnie. Now, good tip. There are several good tips to pass along. This is one of them. Bonnie says, leave your water running in a small stream, at least in one faucet. Very good advice, because of the snowpack and the cold and those wind chills and the temperatures getting down close to zero with, who knows, several inches to a foot of snow in some cases. That is going to freeze some pipes. It's one of the things we all have to look out for this time of year when you have this big of a winter storm with this much stuff as it's going to bring. You're also going to need to make sure that before you lose any power, that you've powered up your devices. You're going to need to make sure your pets and the elderly and your neighbors and all are okay, because you need to plan on, even with big snow, without the ice, you still need to plan on losing power. There's going to be a lot of us that just get snow and still lose power. It's a very good possibility. A lot of you are asking about timing. Here's Joanna. I think she's commenting to somebody else. Depends on where you are, but looking at Saturday around noon for the most. Probably, yes, Saturday noon-ish to Saturday night into Sunday morning. Yes, it's going to be like that. Debbie remembers 94, 20 inches of snow. Very good memory, Debbie. That was great. Plus, we had the ice storm. As you'll recall, here in Bowling Green, we had a couple of houses exploded because the gas lines ruptured, and it caused a couple of homes in a neighborhood to explode. Yeah. And it became nationwide news. I can remember the networks came here and covered it. And we were like that for like 2 weeks. There were a couple of weeks we were without power. That was 94, January 94, when that happened. Here's Sandra. Okay, I'm new to Bowling Green. You're scaring me. I'm sorry, Sandra. I don't mean to scare. This is not meant to scare. But I am like Terry here, who says, if Chris is this concerned, we better be. You're right. I am concerned. I'm not scared, I'm just concerned. April, when does the snow start? Well, tomorrow and Thursday, we will start to see the window closing, and with that, we will get the finer details. But it depends on right now which model you look at. A couple of the models say it's going to be Friday afternoon and evening. A few of the others, like the European model, which has been the most accurate model so far this winter that I just looked at with you guys, it's going to show more into Saturday and not Friday. There's a little bit of a delay. We'll see if they catch up with one another, but right now it's either going to be Friday afternoon and evening or Saturday morning. Joanna, can snow cause power outages as well? Anyone know? Yes, that's what I said. I'm sorry, you probably asked this question. Well, 13 minutes ago, you asked the question. I just now have seen it. But yes, it is very possible. Let's see here. I know a lot of you, some of you are telling me where you're watching. Some of you are from out of state. And thank you, because I'm getting some people here new that I've never seen before. You've never been on this podcast before, and I thank you for choosing me to watch. And there may be some that are just, you're going from podcast to podcast because there's a bunch of them out there to get your information. Just make sure you understand the gravity of this, because it is going to be a significant storm, and it is going to be something that we are going to talk about for a long time once it's gone, because it is going to be that incredible. I really think and believe it is going to be, yes, that big of a deal. All right. So I've gone an hour. I thank you for your patience, because there was a lot to explain. And as you can see behind me, the Weather Channel, Fox Weather, AccuWeather, it doesn't matter what. I mean, this is all they're going to be talking about for a long, long time. Lots of snow, lots of ice for everybody. In the Southeast, lots of fun, quote unquote, to come this weekend. Thank you for trusting me to present you the weather this evening. For those of you that live in Southern Kentucky, I will be on your TV tomorrow morning with an update on WNKY News 40, 6 a.m. in the morning on Sunrise, 9 a.m. and at 12 noon. And by the way, if you're not from around here, you can actually watch that live on Facebook, all of our news shows. So if you want to see it live and you want to see me do an update, I will be there for that in the morning. And then I'll be back here tomorrow evening around 7 o'clock to do another update. And by then, we will have more finite details as to how this is going to go down and if any changes are taking place. And by that time, I would think the Weather Service is going to put up advisories, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, all those things. Heavy snow, there could even be heavy snow watches and warnings, which is a rare thing for us. Thank you all. God bless you. Appreciate you watching. Have a great rest of the evening. Take this time to plan. Take tomorrow and take Thursday and what little bit of Friday you have before it all comes crashing in here. Take those times to get done what you've got to get done. It's that important. I'll talk to you tomorrow.